Welcome to another Founder Wisdom Pod. We have Nick Roche with us. Nick Roche in French. I'm from Montreal. He's in BC. I believe, Vancouver, right, Nick?
Yeah.
And
I've lived in Montreal before, though.
yeah, it's a cool place. I think I'd prefer Vancouver, though, from what I've heard. But Nick is the founder at addMRR. They do outbound, thought leadership, video content, sales system, funnel optimization, all in the name of growth and GTM, 20 plus 8 SaaS that he scaled and backed by top accelerators and VCs are their clients. So I see YC here, I see 500, Sequoia, A16Z. So top guy right there. We're going to talk about ways to grow your MRR today and Nick's 98-day growth sprint. And a bunch of interesting things. If you're a startup and a founder, you want to stay tuned if you are in growth mode. BookWriteGPT.com is presenting this podcast. BookWrite is a tool that takes your LinkedIn post and crafts a beautiful book out of it that you can publish on Kindle. So if you want a free credit, you can go to BookWriteGPT.com. Nick, welcome to the pod. Tell me a bit more about yourself and what you're up to nowadays.
Thanks, Charles, for the wonderful introduction. And absolutely, I'd love to share. So my name is Nick Roche. I've been in the growth space for the last 5 years now. And I started off as a consultant working in someone else's business. And it was there that I was able to gain a vast amount of knowledge and being able to work with so many different SaaS companies. One of those SaaS companies was Seamless, who's now over 100 million ARR. And we were able to work with just so many different niches. And that really exposed me to SaaS as a whole. We had also worked with, online consultants, coaches and stuff. So generally in the online space, there was a lot of information that I was able to download there. And from there, I started my own company in 2022 and essentially just started building out these growth systems for tech companies. And we worked with, again, like a pretty wide variety of niches, but I would say the main ones are sales tech, MarTech, e-com tech, a few prop tech, few fintech. But yeah, those are the main ones. And we were able to do some pretty cool stuff. We've had customers that have been acquired profitably. We've been able to, just help them grow their MRR significantly. And whether we continue working together for a long time, we've had customers that have been with us for a few years, or, we do like a short engagement together and we set them up for success to keep those systems in their business. The goal is just to leave off on a positive note in every single case.
So your background's interesting. I'm going to start with that. So you started knocking on doors for Bell, which is a good job, but it probably shaped you into who you are nowadays. Tell us a bit more about 4 years of door knocking.
Yeah, so sales is definitely one of those things that it shapes you. Like you were saying, it's really the backbone of all of the skill sets that I've needed to succeed and really be where I am today. Sales is definitely not for the faint-hearted. It's pretty rough. Like especially everything I do today, I find it just to be so much easier because you have this screen, and it's way easier. Even if somebody tells you in a graphic way to F off, like I've had some bad emails before, but nothing will ever compare to just like a business owner live in front of you, like telling you that to your face. So it really developed a thick skin. But yeah, I still remember how my first day went. I mean, I was looking for jobs. I was kind of like pushed into dropping out of university just based on like the way that the system and the financing works, and I couldn't pay for my tuition. I couldn't get a loan. So I was like, well, I don't really know what to do. I was like, I can't really figure this out right now. So I dropped out, and then I was looking for jobs and nobody really wanted to hire me because especially at that time, not too many people were like wanting, there wasn't too many jobs I was qualified for. Let's just say that. So the only one that really called me back was door-to-door sales. And, I got the job. It's not too hard to get a job in door-to-door sales. They'll pretty much hire anyone unless there's some like serious issues there. But I got the job, and I remember knocking on my first door as a pizza place, and I had done all the practicing, all the scripts and rehearsing and with my team lead and everything. And he came into the business with me, and I just like froze. Like I couldn't even talk, like even say hi or anything. I just like, it's like everything that I had learned and practiced so many times, totally forgot it. And I remember that. And then I came out of that just like, what the hell just happened? And I went to the next one and I started slowly getting a little bit better. And, by the end of the day, I was like, wow, okay. And I feel like I was like there was some gears starting to turn in my head. And within 3 months, I became the top salesperson in Canada. And I was able to grow into becoming a team lead myself. But, after around like 6 months, closer, to 8 or a little bit further ahead, I started really feeling like, look, you know what? This is great, but there's very limited leverage. I have to go physically knock every single one of these doors in person. I was starting to see the upper limit of how much I could earn there, even as a team lead, and even, teaching others and coaching them, and being able to make a small percentage on the back end of their sales as well. Like, I started to feel like, okay, you know what? This is not really going to get me to where I'm trying to go. And I started really thinking, like, where can I find more leverage? And that's really what got me into like the online, growth consulting and all of the stuff that I've been able to do now.
And that's where Nick Cosman found you. By the way, I've got through a very similar career path. Me, it
Yeah.
was like cold calls instead, right?
Yeah.
Which is probably a bit more brutal, especially in my context. I mean, yeah, you did walk in the cold Mississauga and knock doors and probably had a couple of F-offs, but me back then, I was making 200 phone calls a day to Canadian engineers and architects, and
Oh, wow.
my Quebecois English wasn't perfect back then, so I would get probably 30 to 60 fuck offs a day. And just like you, I froze a lot, as
Yeah.
I didn't know exactly what to say. I didn't know the product well. So it really shaped me. And I think the key insight here is leveling up your pain tolerance, right?
Hmm.
Once you do very hard shit and then you come back to your cozy computer, you're like, oh, this is actually very easy, and everything becomes easier. So humongous insight right there. Tell me a bit more about where when Nick Cosman found you, or you found Nick Cosman with the sales process. I love what Nick's been up to. I'm not sure what he's up to nowadays, but tell me a bit more about you getting into this and helping Greg from Kinobody to go from 2 to 12 million.
Yeah, for sure. So, from there, like I mentioned, I was just looking for leverage, and I came across, I was just looking for other sales because I was like, hey, I've developed a really good skill. I know that this skill can make me money. I've seen it with my own eyes. I was able to buy my first car and all this stuff, and it gave me a lot of confidence that I never had before. But I knew that there was more to it. So then I was looking for opportunities. I'm pretty sure I just found like a posting from Nick's like sales manager. And so I reached out and we had an interview set up. And then towards the bottom stages of the process, they had asked me to kind of like pay for the training, or like the course, I guess, associated with the program. And that really sketched me out because I was like, I've never had to pay for a job before in my life. But I was like really apprehensive about it. But I was like, I was really eager because I was like, they're giving me access to this like community of guys who are really high level. All the stuff he's saying, like, I feel like he was backing up with some kind of evidence. So I was like, okay, well, I kind of believe what they're sharing, but at the same, like, I was conflicted. I was just like, this seems a bit weird. It seems a bit off. But anyways, I ended up doing it. I didn't have the cash, so I asked my girlfriend to put it on her credit card. And I came in, but then quickly I was, after seeing the training and kind of slowly being introduced to like the community of other sales guys, and seeing how much like other guys were able to make, I was really like, okay, like it eased my mind a little bit, because I was like, all right, this is like serious. And yeah, I started going through the training, and I kind of felt like just on a high at that point, because I felt like everything that I knew intuitively in my gut, that there was like better opportunities out there, that this skill set, it's like, what is that quote about? Like, you don't want to be having like $1 million skill set on a $2 offer, something like that. But the point being, like, I knew that I had a good skill set, but like going door to door, physically knocking each door and making, I don't remember exactly how the commissions were, but the point being, it wasn't very much for each sale that you could make. Like, most of it was just going to the company, and then of course like the service provider. So there's just like not a lot of leverage there. But on online consulting, the margins were very high, like very high. I mean, at least 80-90%. So yeah, but I went through the course and I started selling. So the first thing that I did was just outbound emails and a little bit of outbound on LinkedIn as well. So that was interesting because, like I said, it was like taking that door knocking and then bringing it to the digital space and like sending emails. And I was like, it was blowing my mind at first because I was like, there's no way that you just sit behind a computer. And this was during the pandemic as well, so things were slowly going remote, but it hadn't fully gotten there yet. I think it was more like towards the end of the pandemic that we were seeing a lot of roles going online. So yeah, it was really cool though. And I started out just doing outbound and learning that and started getting really good replies and building my kind of like copywriting skills, especially with email. And from there, I started being able to have the opportunity to close my own calls as well. So then that was also a bit of a different skill set in, walking somebody through the whole process and kind of like having that belief that this is going to be successful for them. And yeah, I mean, we had a lot of really, really solid case studies as well. So I think that helped with getting people over the line. We had great references. So yeah, I would say overall it was a great experience. And then kind of towards the end, I think Nick just kind of wanted to change directions. And I kind of felt that there was like a shift happening in the company where it didn't really feel like it was the same opportunity that it was when I started. So at that point, it felt like the right time to kind of just move on to my own thing. I'm not too sure like what Nick is up to these days. Like I've seen that he's on YouTube and stuff, but I feel like sometimes people, especially in SaaS, like they are kind of like, oh, like why would you even put that on your experience, like on your profile? And I'm like, because for some people they may feel like scammy vibes or something, or he might have a bad reputation or something like that. But honestly, for me, I have nothing bad to say. It was literally like, I don't even think I would be here today if it wasn't for that experience. And being able to work with so like hundreds or just so many different types of these businesses in such a short period of time and learn the skill set that I did, like I don't see how I could talk about my experience or my journey or where I am today without having that experience. So I feel like it's leaving out a really important part of the story. So I kind of choose to include that. And if anybody gets like weird vibes off of that, I mean, I can respect that. I can see that. But yeah, I mean, it is what it is.
Right. And then you became a GTM advisor for a bunch of companies, or GTM operator, including Warmly.
Yeah.
I had Alan and Max on my pod various
Oh,
times.
really?
So
Nice.
yeah,
Yeah.
they're great. I love these guys.
Yeah, they're
Tell
awesome.
tell me about what you've did and what you've accomplished in the last couple of years, including starting addMRR in 2021.
Yeah, absolutely. So the first customer that we worked with was in the ecom tech niche. We weren't able to like disclose a lot of the information due to NDA, but the main thing that we did was we were able to take them from 127K MRR to 326K MRR in 90 days. And from there, we scaled them to over 600K a month before we ended up parting ways. But it was really cool, their story. Like, he was completely bootstrapped, just kind of doing drop shipping on his own for Amazon and Walmart. And he decided to build tooling around all of the stuff that he just needed for himself. And that industry in general struggles a lot with churn, just because it's one of those like, biz op things where people kind of come in, they're excited, they want to make money, and then maybe, things don't always go according to plan. So then they just, they kind of like, they're like, okay, forget it, I'm just going to cancel all these tools. So churn was a big issue. Like it was close to 50% when we started working with him. We were able to bring it down significantly. Like it still fluctuated, but we would see between like typically 12 to 17%, which was a big improvement. And we were able to get it as low as 8% towards like the end of our engagement. So that was a really cool case study. And that case study allowed us to start working with other people as well, because of course people want to see like proof of concept. And like, especially when you're a brand new business, I think you definitely need to like prove yourself in some way. So for us, that was kind of like the saving grace per se, where we were able to go out and say, hey, we've actually done this before. Here's all the results. Here's all the metrics. And kind of like build our main offer off of that. So we started working with some other companies, and a couple of the companies actually exited, which was awesome. So we had one company, which was also in ecom tech. They were able to exit to a bigger competitor in the space, which was awesome. And then we also had like a sales tech exit. We were helping them validate. They were very early stage. They just mainly had like Figma mockups, and we were able to kind of take that and book enterprise meetings. We booked a meeting with Snowflake, which is like a unicorn, huge company. This was Nova, by the way. I'm able to say their name. But yeah, it was Joe Petruzzi with Nova. He ended up exiting. And yeah, we have a case study on my YouTube as well for that. And yeah, from there, we've more recently been working with Warmly. We worked with ScaleStack. ScaleStack raised 3 million. They raised it off of our go-to-market plan, and they've been doing some pretty cool things lately. We helped them with their video content. We helped them launch their podcast. Warmly, we have been advising them mainly on their video strategy. So similar to Hockey Stack's The Flow, they wanted to build out like a video part of their website where you can go and it's like a little B2B Netflix. You can kind of click and there's different series. So we've been advising them on their overall like content game. And yeah, I would say like that's pretty much it in a nutshell. There's like a few years there of summary, and you know, I'm leaving out some good customers for sure, but that's like the 30,000 foot view.
Tell me about your pod strategy. I think you started that a couple of months ago. As you know, I'm incredibly bullish on podcasts as well. We're going to talk
Absolutely.
about cold email as well. One of my companies, podpire.com. So tell me about your strategy as a lead gen side of things, right? Authority, getting in front of people that you would normally not get in front of if you would ask them for a sales call. Tell me about your pod thesis.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question. So, you know, I think where it came from is even just a realization like for myself, because I launched a podcast, I've been publishing episodes, and it kind of became clear to me, like asking somebody to come on the podcast is pretty like very low lift, right? I mean, I think most people, if they're comfortable with it, especially if you're in business, you kind of have to be, you're the face of the company, right? So most people are pretty comfortable to say yes in coming on your show. You know, I don't necessarily want to give the impression that I only invite people to like have some sort of in or something with them, because I feel like that also feels weird. Like it's not meant to be transactional, but as you were saying, it is a great starting point in a relationship, because you're kind of taking time to interview them, ask them genuine questions, and get their story, which is, you know, if you're an entrepreneur, you don't go through all this BS to like, you don't go through all this BS to not tell your story, and, you know, put like, you have to have a passion, and, you know, that passion is usually from stories worth telling or like problems that you faced, deep things, like deep emotional things. So having an outlet for somebody to take, you know, that fire behind them and go and put it on a podcast and have someone listen to them, be able to like have this long form piece of content, as well as a bunch of shorts of, you know, their story and just like why they're doing what they're doing, all of their experiences, everything like that. It's pretty cool. So I think there's a natural like law of reciprocity here, where, you know, you're taking the time, you're doing the stuff, and people are just more receptive. And like I said, I invite people on the podcast with like no intention of pitching them anything. Like it's like, okay, cool. Like you're doing cool stuff. I've talked to a number of AI experts, and genuinely the podcast itself was honestly like just a great learning experience for me, where I'm like, hey, you're doing some really cool work. You're like really behind the scenes, and you know, you don't do a lot of marketing. Like you're more of one of those like product techie people. So I've talked with those kind of people, and there's no real intention to be like, hey, yeah, you know, like we do XYZ, like work with us. It's more so just like, I'm learning. I think people in my audience could benefit from what you're talking about. And like, this is just kind of for the greater good, like in the industry, you know, like we're making content, we're putting it out there. People are learning. I'm learning from you. Like, it's a win-win-win-win-win. But yeah, I mean, strategy wise, even for clients, it's been something that can really help them just get their face out there. Certain companies that we've worked with have just had, like, they have an amazing product. And this is actually true for a lot of SaaS companies we've worked with. And it's kind of a big reason why they would even want to work with us, is they have a great product, but nobody knows who they are, or they don't think of them when they're having the problem that the company solves, right? So that was something that even we faced with ScaleStack. I would say, like, Clay is kind of the 800-pound gorilla in the space. Everybody knows Clay. Everybody's talking about Clay. And Clay also recently launched their enterprise program. But for ScaleStack, they didn't really feel like they were coming top of mind when it came to like enrichment and data orchestration and all the things that they do. Like their name just wasn't coming up, or people didn't really understand what it is that they do. So the podcast and being able to, especially like they're targeting all enterprise customers. So some of the customers that we've worked with as well through like the podcast are pretty huge. Like Ocean.io, Copy AI. We were able to work with some of these like very large enterprises. And that also has a net benefit in getting to speak with their audience as well and educate their audience about like what the company does. So I think there's so many benefits. And like, I think it's a strategy. It's almost like, why aren't you doing this? Do you know what I mean? Like, I think almost everybody could benefit from this.
And tell me about your cold email stack. I mean, I do that as a service for a bunch of my clients. We buy domain on Namecheap. We host them there too. It's just the cheapest way to create a bunch of mailbox. Then we send through SendGrid, use instantly to warm up the mailboxes, get our data on Apollo, contact out, and so forth. Use Persona instead of Kling because we're partners with them. What does your tech stack looks like?
Yeah, that's a good question. So, we're always evolving the tech stack as well. Currently, like we've been having a pretty similar tech stack for a while, which is very similar to yours. For domains, we've used Porkbun, but Namecheap is fine too. It sometimes can even be a little cheaper. For emails, we've used Instantly as well. I actually got a couple of lifetime deals on Instantly, so that's definitely been like that was a huge one. Lifetime deals don't always work out the way that you want it to, but that one was definitely like a great grab. So picked up Instantly, but yeah, it's great for like warming up the domains. They also have like a done for you service where you can just connect your domains and then they make all of the like names, the different accounts, I mean, as well. And then they sell pre-warmed domains. Like if you need to urgently launch a campaign and you don't have like you don't have 14 days to wait to kind of like warm everything up, then you can also just go with that option. And sometimes we do that if we need to just like start getting leads right away. Yeah, we've used Apollo for data. I think like it's one of those things that I've been experimenting with some other tools as well, like Full Enrich, and there's just like a number of these like waterfall contact providers as well. And also I've been looking at more like AI SDR, I guess, type stuff. Been evaluating a few tools like Aura by Lavender and Ample Markets AI SDR, and Valley is a pretty cool one. I have the founder in my network and I've been looking at them for a while. So just try to figure out like how we can evolve, right? Because things are changing so quickly and there's always like a more efficient way of doing things. And especially being in the tech space, like you never want to be falling behind. You got to be like on the cutting edge.
Love it. Nick, where can people find out more about you?
LinkedIn's probably the best place. I have a YouTube channel as well, but yeah, search me up on LinkedIn, Nick Roche, and my YouTube channel is B2B Nick.
Thank you. So